Good morning. This is Deborah Arca from Pathos, and I've got Gareth Higgins here with me this morning, the director of the Wild Goose Festival. Good morning, Gareth.
Hi, Deborah.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. We're 5 weeks from the festival, so there's a lot going on.
Yeah, 5 weeks from this Wild Goose Festival. Okay, for our readers and viewers who still don't know what the Wild Goose Festival is, give us your brief elevator pitch description of what this amazing festival is all about.
Some people call it Woodstock for Christians, or a sort of a smaller version of Burning Man. I've always described it as a way of trying to curate an intersection between justice, spirituality, music, and art. It's inspired by Greenbelt in the UK that's been going for 40 years. It's really a space for people who want to engage with credible thinking about spirituality and about justice and engagement with justice issues. To be in an environment that's beautiful in nature. We're at an amazing campground by a river, and also is full of artistic creativity. A couple of the characteristics that maybe set it apart from other spaces are we're really committed to collapsing hierarchies between public figures and the rest of us. So there's no kind of big VIP space, there's no red carpets, there's lots of people who you'd have heard of, or you've read their books or listened to their music, and they'll just be there, part of the community with everybody else. There's a
So I mean,
lot.
so I can like hang out and have lunch with the Indigo Girls maybe
I was just
this.
going to say, you can hang out with ordinary people. Big, who rarely get the chance to be in your presence. So,
Awesome.
um, and we invite people also to speak in uncensored ways and informal ways to experiment with thought that they maybe haven't shared in public yet. No questions are off the agenda, and there's also a serious, strategic, systematic effort in place to give more space and to share more space and to give up ownership actually to historically marginalized voices, particularly women, people of color, the LGBTQ community. And we're only starting, so we're not by any means saying that we're there yet. But those are some of the callings of the Wild Goose, to create a different kind of space in which dangerous conversations can happen without fear.
Like something like 2,000 people flocked to this festival last year. This year, you've changed the festival site to Hot Springs, North Carolina, which is outside of Asheville. And so why the change, and what can we expect from this new location?
So we had a wonderful time at the previous site, and we're going to have a better time at the new site for a number of reasons. First of all, it's meteorologically cooler,
Oh,
and
yes.
it may also be cooler in other ways, but the last site was pretty cool too. So it is going to be better weather, more breathable, fewer ticks.
That's
The
good
ticks
news.
the ticks were friendly but unwelcome guests at
Yes.
the previous festivals.
I took home
Um,
ticks both years, actually.
yeah, did
It
you?
was my
Good.
little souvenir.
I made friends with some as well. Asheville, we feel, is a city that's just an intriguing place. I mean, it's
Mm,
culturally very significant. Great art, great creative people, interesting open-mindedness, inclusivity, and it's also in the southeast. Embedded in a space where really interesting forms of Christian spirituality were born in this
mm,
country. So we have both the what you might want to call kind of old communitarian traditional values of community bonds, and also an open-minded self-reflection, because some of those community bonds might look exclusive to some people, and or they actually have been
hmm.
exclusive at different times. But it's a city and a region that I think is rising to the surface as a cultural capital in the United States. It's also quite easy to get to from lots of
Yes.
lots of places round about. The other reason is the site itself in Hot Springs. Beautiful campground, river on one side, right in the center of a little town. So the sort of services and amenities that people may need are available right there,
Yes.
whereas our previous site was much more isolated.
Yes. Cool. So, other than location, what are some other new things we can expect from the festival this year? And maybe you can also speak to what's worked really well that you're keeping the same.
Sure. So new things. First of all, the river is going to be new. So
It's like me
people
major
who
player in this festival this year.
it is going to be a major player, and I think people will enjoy it. We're actually one of our volunteer leaders is going to be leading a kind of prayer and meditation up to your waist in the river at 7 o'clock every morning. Much better than a
Oh,
cup of coffee. We weren't
nice.
able to do that before. We didn't have a body of water. Um, I think the things that we're deepening are our volunteer community. We have about 300
Oh,
volunteers
wow.
this year who, people always say the cliche of without these folk, we wouldn't be able to run the festival. This is absolutely true.
Hmm.
And it's not just we wouldn't be able to run it without them. There is no us and them. The volunteers are part of the community as much as anybody
Right.
else. And it's amazing to see how many people want to volunteer. We're going to have in the mornings, first thing in the morning, we have our elders sessions,
Hmm.
and that's Phyllis Tickle and Vincent Harding, who are both, I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying, both in their 80s
Yeah.
now, and we want to privilege the witness and example and experience of elders, people who've been around for a while,
Hmm.
and so they're going to be on stage each morning, interviewed by Krista Tippett
Hmm.
from APM NPR from the wonderful program On Being,
Yes.
and they're going to talk about their experience and what they want to share with us. And then also each morning, over the 3 mornings of the festival, we're going to have 3 large workshops to train people in nonviolence,
Hmm.
in ecological consciousness, and also in multiculturalism, facing issues to do with racism and privilege. And every morning, everyone at the festival will have the opportunity to go to one of those workshops, and then you can rotate through them over the three
Oh,
days. We'll
terrific.
only be kind of skirting the surface of each of those questions, but we really feel that those 3 issues, care for the earth, a consideration of what active nonviolence will needs to look like, and also how to deal positively with difference and face the historical legacy of racism and of cultural division in this society and elsewhere, are really important parts of what it means to
Mm.
love your neighbor and to
Yeah.
love yourself and
Yeah.
to learn how to be more fully human.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the day, from about 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock, it'll look more like the kind of wild gooses we know and love it. Lots of different options, speakers, chapel services, musicians. There's quite a bit more theatre this year than
Hmm.
we've had before,
Fun.
um, and talking circles where people can just come and be in conversation with others. We found actually one of the issues that's surfaced for us this year is grief and dealing with the loss of loved ones. Our good friend Frank Schaefer lost his mother earlier this year, and he's going to lead a
Mm.
talking circle about
Mm.
just a space for people who've maybe lost loved ones recently
Excellent.
or further into the past who just want to talk about that and explore
Hmm.
that in a safe space.
Hmm.
And then at night, main stage music, as you've already mentioned, the Indigo Girls are coming. Speech from Arrested Development is coming. Our friend Phil Madeira will be performing again with a team of a crew of really world class musicians, including David Mansfield, who's currently on tour with Bobby McFerrin, who was in Bob Dylan's band when he was
Mm.
17.
Hmm.
And there's stand up comedy for the first time. Oh, some people may say, let's just say there's intentional stand up comedy for the
Right.
first time. There may
Right.
have been
We'll.
unintentional stand up comedy
Oh,
in the
that's
past.
right. And we'll be the
Uh,
we'll be the judges if it's comedy or not, right?
yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And just a different kind of space. It's
Yeah.
like I say, having it in the town is going to make a difference. We're actually working with one of the taverns downtown, so that one of the festival venues is going to be in a pub
Mm.
in
Cool.
the town itself.
Yeah.
So these are that's that's some of the highlights of what's going to
Yeah. So
be.
okay. So what are you personally, Gareth Higgins, most excited about? Is there a
Yeah, um, I'm I'm thrilled that we have Glennon Melton coming in. Glennon will be known to many of the viewers and readers as Momastery. She blogs at momastery.com. She's developed an extraordinary following,
Mm,
particularly of women who are mothers.
yeah.
And her kind of perspective on spirituality is very earthy,
Mm,
very down to earth. She's incredibly honest and self-giving on her blog. And if you like Anne Lamott, you'll really love Glennon Melton, and
excellent.
she's going to join us. We have the Reverend William Barber, who's been with us before, the president of the NAACP in North Carolina, who, in my view, is leading one of the most significant social protest movements happening in the US today, mobilizing people with very much Gandhian or Kingian nonviolent ethic of love to challenge what in his view are oppressive
Yeah.
uh, acts by the North Carolina legislature.
Yeah.
And this is you don't have to be into North Carolina politics to be interested in Reverend William Barber, because he is a man who I think stands in the line of Dr. Martin Luther King,
Hmm.
and who is embodying ways to move beyond complaint and demonizing the other or the oppressor into transformative social action. Wherever you are
Yeah.
in the US or the world, I think you could benefit from listening to Reverend Barber.
Yeah.
And one more highlight for me, and there are many, but there's one I'm really intrigued about. I think is going to be great. Merrill Farnsworth, the playwright,
Yeah.
has a cycle of plays called Jezebel's Got the Blues. And this play is there's going to be a staged reading with music in the pub downtown,
Mm.
and there are some very interesting people who've been asked to play a role in the play, and I'm not going to say who.
Yeah.
It's kind of a surprise,
Yeah.
but I think that's going to be utterly fascinating.
Yeah.
Uh, Another
So
thing I didn't mention is the site of Hot Springs, as you might guess, is on a hot spring, naturally occurring hot springs that seed these rentable hot tubs that are on the opposite side of the road from the campsite where we are. And when I say opposite side of the road, basically it's about 14 feet away.
yeah. Right.
um, and they're hot tubs. They're open air, and they're really really wonderful. So people can go and rent one of those. It's not very expensive,
Hmm.
and just enjoy being in the open air.
So this is giving me an idea.
That's
Maybe I'll stage a series of Pathos interviews in the tubs. That would be
great.
awesome. Yeah, meet me in
Don't
the tub for a few
don't put any
questions.
electrical items in the hot tub, but
No, just my
yeah.
little camera. Yeah. I'm so excited. This sounds amazing. I mean, I am even more excited after talking to you about going, and I hope all of our readers and viewers are too. Go to the wildgoose.org. Wild Goose Festival or Wild Goose?
WildGooseFestival.org.
Wildgoosefestival.org site to get your tickets. They're not very expensive. You can also get single day tickets if you can't go for the whole festival. So it's worth it even just getting there for one day.
And let me say, if you're going to be flying in to Charlotte or to Asheville, which are the main airports, Asheville's the closest, Charlotte's probably the least expensive. We are offering the possibility of a shuttle from those airports
Great.
to the site if enough people sign up for them, and that won't be very. It'll be less expensive the more people that sign up. And if you go
Yeah.
to the Facebook page, you'll find out more details about that.
Okay. Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Gareth, for being with us this morning. I know you have lots going on in this last month before the festival starts, and thank you also for just being a part of the dream team behind the Wild Goose Festival. You have such a passionate heart for this work and for social justice, and we all are the better for it. So get yourself to the Goose this year, and we'll see you all there.